After I ended up going to Seattle, I went to preseason there, and it was like a huge shock to me. This is like a real professional environment. I remember the first couple of days, you're just doing testing, how you do the 5-10-5 test, or you do like the 40-meter sprint test, or your vertical jump test, things like that. And I'm not athletic. So I was like ranking, and the thing was, they would post your scores and not rank you, but essentially it would go in descending order to like the lowest scores of
Guys,
everything.
when are we gonna do the intangible test, please?
Yeah, can we do something on character maybe soon? So I was like in the bottom 5, like in everything, and so that was tough. And so at the time, Seattle was one of the best MLS teams. Not that they aren't now, but they were one of the best teams in the league. They had top pros. Obafemi Martins, guys, that were experienced in the league, that were like MVPs, like Chad Marshall, anchor of their back line. You had Clint Dempsey, DeAndre Yedlin. Like, they had players at the time. This was Seattle probably at their peak before they were shipping players off to Europe and whatnot. And so to me, I'm like a rookie coming into this, no agent, no one guiding me through this trial process, essentially. I somehow just keep making it from week to week. I'm just doing well enough to keep going. And so I go to Tucson with the team, and we play preseason tournament against other MLS teams in preseason. Every couple of days you have a match, but within those couple of days you're just training, maybe doing double days and whatnot. And so you're kind of trying to settle in and get comfortable with guys now that the numbers have kind of dwindled down to something that kind of resembles more or less of what a roster would look like. Get more comfortable, but I'm just not getting a certain vibe from especially the assistants. And at the time, Ziggy Schmidt was the manager. And he's very like kind of hands off, just kind of observes. He doesn't run any of the training sessions. He's a manager, just kind of manages. And so it got to a point where I'm like, okay, I'm not getting the vibes from maybe one or two of the assistants. So I'm not sure I'm doing well, and I'm not sure they like me. And so I got to the point where near the end of our time in Tucson, we were playing our final game. It was literally the last day. We played like a morning match, and we were going to fly back out to Seattle that afternoon or evening. And I just, for some reason, my intuition was telling me that, okay, I'm probably going to get cut. This is the day they're making decisions. I'm probably going to get cut. Whatever. Screw it. I'm just going to go out here and just at least try to enjoy myself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So usually throughout this trial process, whenever you're playing these preseason matches, they're, 3 30-minute thirds, if you want to call it. This last day was like a standard 90-minute 245s. And so I played the whole second half. And that was like the most minutes I had played. I only played 30 minutes all those prior matches. And I did maybe okay in those matches. In this last match, I just bossed it. I was playing out of my mind. I was doing all the head fakes. I was getting back in my zone. You know what I mean? It's not that I was like, I don't care anymore, because I did care.
If I'm going to go down, I'm going to do it on my terms.
Right, yeah. Exactly. So I kind of had that mentality and that approach going into it. I might as well have fun with that. I might as well actually show this is who I am. I don't care what you're looking for in a center back. I'm going to stop trying to fit this box that you guys have created for what a center back is and what you're looking for. And mind you, they had drafted 2 players in the super draft who are both center backs on Generation Adidas contracts. So obviously looking back in reflection, I'm like, yeah, there's no way they were going to sign me,
Probably that's one thing you could have researched before telling Galaxy.
No type of research. So I'm going to go back and just, I'm going to go out here and essentially just be myself. I'm going to stop trying to fit this box that you have, and I'm going to be myself. And so I killed it. I was being cheeky, being creative, playing out of the back. I was finding ways not to go back to the keeper and keep progressing my team and applying pressure on them. And my positioning was excellent. My ball recoveries, my ability to retain possession after we've pressed and the other team has kicked a long ball, and either a cheeky flick back to the keeper or being able to bring it down under pressure and find a way to distribute the ball out to someone without pressure, etc. And so the game ended. I played my best football on the last day. literally probably half an hour later, after you're done showering and changing, they tell all the guys that are essentially on trial that, okay, one by one, essentially you guys are going to come into the room, and one of the main assistant coach is going to come have a chat with you.
Tell you your fate.
Exactly. So I ended up going into the room. They tell me already what I had already known they were probably going to say. And so it was what it was. I wasn't that hurt by it just because I've already anticipated it. And so by the time I left the room, I'm walking back to the hallway of this kind of locker room building area, and I passed by Ziggy Schmidt in the hallway. I didn't have too many interactions with him up until that point. And so he called me by my first name, which is already like, oh my God, like, wow. Like, oh, you know who I am?
Feel special.
Right, exactly. And so he was like, look, Tarek, like, we actually really liked you, not only just like as a player, but all the guys liked you as well. But unfortunately, we don't have a reserve team at the moment. We're not planning on bringing one into the USL system until maybe next year. Otherwise, we would have kept you. But essentially letting me know that he rated me to an extent at which he saw something in me. And that gave me a lot of confidence. So actually, I left that being cut process like full of confidence. I had guys like DeAndre Yedlin and a guy named Brad Evans who used to go to UC Irvine like years prior to when I arrived, actually telling me I did great. These guys had just come back from national team camp, I think probably January camp or something. And so they were in the stands on the last day watching, essentially. And so being able to perform really well and show out my best football in front of these guys and have them kind of give me compliments when they didn't need to was
everything
really
you needed.
reassuring.
Yeah, everything you needed to keep pushing forward with it.
For sure. So that was my experience there into the pro world. And I was like, you know what, I can make it. If I just keep pushing, work harder, I can, really make a career out of this, essentially.
Did you have any regrets that the last 45 minutes that you played were your best, and you should have just been doing that the whole time? Or
Oh, yeah.
You wouldn't have changed too much because like you felt what you felt and you reacted how you reacted?
It's tough, but I mean, obviously through reflection, I would like to believe that, man, if I had just come in with that approach that I was on the last day, man, maybe I would have signed with the team. And so now I'm thinking about it in a little bit of regretful terms, but I have no regrets. I think it was meant to happen the way it happened. Everything prior to that point in my career, through every stage, it was almost meant to be. Like for me to go to Mount Sac, for me to not get my scholarship from UC Riverside, for me to only end up going to UC Irvine, who's a better school than UC Riverside, in a better location, better academics, better program, only to play them in the semifinals of my first year at UC Irvine of the Big West tournament, only to score my first collegiate goal against them and to beat them and knock them out, and to celebrate in front of that coach who took my scholarship offer away without any explanation, only to go and actually make a really, good collegiate career. Shoot, I won a state championship my freshman year. My sophomore year, I won my conference tournament, won the conference, made it to the NCAA tournament. Forget about my junior year.
We'll skip
my senior year, pretty much the same thing as my sophomore year, only better. And so, like, I had already made these amazing accomplishments after, all these trials of adversity. So after leaving Seattle, it didn't feel like I was taking a step down. It was kind of like priming me for the next step, essentially. You know what I mean?